anyone that day. He didn't deserve to die over $20. I'm asking you, is that what a black man is worth? $20? This is 2020. Enough is enough.
That's George Floyd's brother telling Congress enough is enough, getting emotional and asking if a black man's life is worth $20 after his brother's killing was caught on video. There's new pressure, and it is forcing more taped incidents into the public. 2 more unarmed black men dying in police custody. And we warn you, the videos we are about to show you are disturbing. 28-year-old chemistry student Maurice Gordon was fatally shot after an incident in Jersey on May 23rd, 2 days before the death of George Floyd. Here he is. He's being pulled over by a New Jersey state trooper. This footage has been released by the New Jersey Attorney General's office, and we do not know what happened before this footage.
Your license registration. You went by me at 110 miles an hour. That's why you're being at 44 north. Get your car. Won't come. Send a car my way. What's that? What? You want to sit in my car? Yeah. Okay, with the bugs and all that, come my way. Put your seatbelt on. Keep your seatbelt on. You can't leave. You're on the side of the highway.
Then, as you see here, Gordon got out of the car, and according to the Attorney General's office, he tried to enter the driver's seat of the trooper's car twice. And I want to warn you again, these next images are disturbing. The sergeant fired his gun 6 times, ultimately killing Gordon. Gordon died. The officer, currently on paid leave while the incident is being investigated. And down in Texas, this man, 40-year-old Javier Ambler, father of 2 boys, he was pulled over in March of 2019 after failing to dim his headlights for oncoming traffic. He was pulled over after a 22-minute police chase, a traffic stop that ended with his death. He's also heard on camera telling officers, quote, "I can't breathe." And I want to warn you, these are disturbing images.
Hey, big man, other hand now. Other hand. Put it out there. Other hand. Give me your hand. I'm going to tell you, flat on your stomach. Flat on your stomach. Flat on your stomach. Flat on your stomach.
That case remains under investigation a year later. Details and videos in those incidents are only being released now in large part because of ongoing media pressure, which brings us back to the protests, the movement, fighting for a change of the system. Because how many of these incidents are not filmed? And remember, they're filmed by civilians oftentimes. How many of them are still hidden? Joining us now, the New Yorkers Jelani Cobb and Ron Davis, a police officer for 30 years who worked on President Obama's policing reform efforts. He testified remotely at today's judiciary hearing. Ron, your takeaway from the last 2 weeks, from today's hearing, is change coming?
I think it is. I think why I think change is coming, the main reason, as you identified, Stephanie, is that people are starting to realize this is not about a few bad apples. This is not about a lot of bad apples. This is about systemic change. We have operational systems in policing that are extremely dysfunctional and still being highly affected by structural racism. And until we address those, we're going to keep having these incidents, and we just can't keep playing whack-a-mole with individual bad cops. That we have to hold them accountable, but I think people are now recognizing we need systemic police reform. We need to change the system as we know it, because the system is flawed, and that it is something that's been designed 50, 60 years ago for the purpose of enforcing discriminatory laws.
point out right now on your screen, George Floyd's brother, who also testified today, is now in Lafayette Park, basically standing just a few feet from where President Trump was speaking a week ago. On the same day, rubber bullets and tear gas were used to clear peaceful protesters, just like George Floyd's brother right now. Jelani, you saw those new videos that emerged that we showed just a moment ago. How many incidents are out there that we've never seen? How worried should we be?
Well, I think we should be very worried. There are lots of incidents that we've never seen. And the other part of this is there are lots of incidents that are on video that we may never see. And what I mean by that is that, there has been a push for police body cameras for the last 5 years or so. But many legislatures have responded with laws that make it all but impossible for the public to actually see what is on those videos. So the problem is twofold. There is a kind of unnumbered, unknown series of incidents like this where there is no video. And then the possibility that there are incidents that are captured on video, and it's difficult for the public to find out what's there anyway.
Ron, what is the rationale? The rationale against wearing body cams and sharing that video? Transparency, shouldn't that be everyone's ideal?
Stephanie, it should be. It should be the core principle of a policing department. And part of it is that some of this stuff is negotiated as part of union contracts. Some of it is now being embedded, as Jelani mentioned, into state law. And I think the only caution that could come into play with the releasing of video would be criminal prosecutions where the early release may compromise a case. But as soon as possible, all the videos should be released. It shows what it shows. If it's good news, it shows that. If there's bad news, it shows that. If there's mistakes being made, the public has the right to know. So we should always err on the side of transparency. We also don't want to compromise cases. So there are some times in which, some of it should be redacted. Some of it may not be released. But I think Jelani's right. If you're starting to see more and more legislative action being taken to actually prohibit the release and actually order it not to be released or require court orders to get it released. And that defeats the whole purpose of the body camera to begin with.
We reported just a moment ago on that latest I Can't Breathe incident in Texas. And I want to share, the parents of that man spoke earlier today. Watch this.
I just want to suggest that I want these people to suffer exactly, go to jail, be responsible for what your actions. They use their badge, they use their gun, they use their position to try to overcome people, and it's not right.
Jelani, your reaction?
I mean, it's true. I don't think there's anything else that you have to add to that. I think, so one of the things that happens here is that African Americans are disproportionately likely to have contact with the legal system on multiple fronts. And the greater amount of contact lends itself to greater possibilities of incidents like this happening. And so what we see here is disproportionate. But there's another point that I've been making I've been making all the time, is that one of the reasons this problem has been allowed to persist is that people have the perception that this is a black and brown problem. But if you were to discard all of the incidents involving black and brown people, what you would find is there are a heck of a lot of white people, unarmed white people, who are killed by police each year. We have a fundamental problem with policing in this country, whose most extreme violent forms are witnessed in how we see black and brown people treated by law enforcement.
Ron, the president is going to be giving a speech on policing tomorrow. He calls himself the law and order president, though he didn't even mention George Floyd yesterday. And obviously his response to the protests is under fire from even people within his own party. What do you think we're in for?
Unfortunately, probably some of the same old stuff, rhetoric that is dangerous. When we say law and order, I think everyone knows, especially communities of color, that law and order does not mean what it's supposed to mean, which is peace and justice. It means the targeting of minority communities. It means the mass arrest of men of color as a national strategy to fight crime. It means he's going to play to the divisions of this country and focus on things that are completely irrelevant to the moment. He's going to try to turn this into a we versus them or us against the police. And I'm here to tell you, this is to your earlier question, why it's going to be different. Because as police, as myself, as a 30-year law enforcement officer and talking to a lot of my friends, all of us know that it has to change. And what the president should do is acknowledge that there are systemic issues and go against what AG, Attorney General Barr, has said, to acknowledge that race is still a major issue in this country, to acknowledge that we need to reform the system and that he should take the lead as the commander-in-chief in that. But I'm not a betting man, but I wouldn't put a penny on that he would do that, to be candid.
All right. Well, Jelani, I'm a mere civilian, so I want you to help me understand this. Louisville Police Department just released Breonna Taylor's incident report, and it was basically blank. We have to remember this woman was fatally shot 8 times in her own apartment, and it lists her injuries as none. How could that be?
I mean, listen, what did the police say happened to Mr. Floyd before the video came out? What did the police say happened in Buffalo before the video came out? You know, there are kind of institutional cultures here in which people protect each other. The horrendous miscarriage of justice that resulted in Ms. Taylor losing her life should have been assiduously detailed. This should have been every pertinent, relevant fact there. But that's an outright lie. You know, a person doesn't get shot 8 times and have no injuries. And so this is just fundamental, simple accountability that, and I will add, that were this any other institution, it would be a just non-question. If we were talking about government spending, or we were talking about any mundane function of the federal and municipal governments, people would say there's no way under the sun that you should be able to get away with this kind of lack of accountability and lack of transparency.
Well, we're calling for more transparency now. Gentlemen, thank you both so much. Jelani Cobb, Ron Davis, you made us smarter tonight. I appreciate you joining us.